My name is Robin Pretty, and I represent the Lower Columbia Basin Audubon Society. We are located in the lovely Shrubsteppe of eastern Washington, and I'm here to share a story with you about how a sagebrush songbird survey developed over a period of a couple of years, created collaboration on a local, regional, statewide, and national level, led us to see where our work fits into the national concept of flyways, and created a real experience of one Audubon. And to me, most remarkably and most fun, all this grew organically from having work about which we all cared passionately, each in our own way, and we kept the work at the center. We are again the Lower Columbia Basin Audubon Society. We were founded in 1963 as a birding club and officially joined Audubon in 1965. Being from the Shrub-steppe, we know it's threatened from all kinds of development, industry, housing, agriculture, but often we feel most of all it's threatened because it's not valued. It's often referred to as scrub or as wasteland, and the lovely land, we feel lovely landscape, and its inhabitants are just not at all appreciated. Of course, we don't see it that way, and it's important to us to work to preserve it as much as we can. This is our location, again, in eastern Washington. And so now let me tell you a little bit about the story. About 2 years ago, Washington Audubon approached us with a proposal for conservation studies. They suggested about sage grouse, and we kind of grumped. We don't have sage grouse in our area, or leks in our area. And we thought, what about songbirds? We look at songbirds on our own bird walks, and we hear them, and they matter a lot to us. So Washington Audubon responded first with a literature search, which led to more conversations. And then last fall, the Sagebrush Songbird Survey began. We began the pilot. So a few years ago, we weren't feeling all so warm and fuzzy necessarily about Washington Audubon, nor about national. Sometimes here in eastern Washington, we kind of specialize in feeling neglected as being the much, much less populated part of the state, east of the mountains. We weren't sure at all how we fit into the flyway concept, and initially we weren't necessarily interested in trying to figure it out. However, as work progressed and Washington Audubon was so persistent, I finally decided I kind of had to have my own put up or shut up moment and either move forward with the study or quit complaining about being ignored because they weren't giving me the opportunity. So we said yes, and our chapter responded, and we've moved forward with the study. Our target birds for this study are sagebrush sparrow, brewer's sparrow, sage thrasher, vesper sparrow, and grasshopper sparrow. These birds move between the southern part of Canada, British Columbia, and northern Mexico through the Great Basin between the Cascades and the Rockies, where we are all located. So we now see that the work we're doing with these birds has created our own concept understanding of the flyway as being a mini flyway, sort of an interior flyway that moves internationally between Canada and Mexico through the Great Basin, and these birds migrate through it. And so all of a sudden we really could see where we fit, and we were led to see that fit because of the work. As the pilot started really taking off, Washington Audubon involved Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife, specifically a scientist named Matt Vanderhagen. From his involvement, we've gotten a great scientific framework, data, protocols, procedures, excellent site selection and access, all of which we know makes the work more valuable and meaningful. And Matt is such a renowned birder. He can tell you if a brewer's sparrow has been on a date, even before it's updated its Facebook status. So, all joking aside, this kind of expertise involved by Washington Audubon adds so much to the work, and we know it. At our first training, we expected about 18 people. That's what we were prepared for, mostly local. We ended up with over 30 people responding, including some top-notch birders from all over the state. In our first round of site surveys, we got 13 out of the 14 hoped-for sites. Our original thoughts were that we would maybe do 2 or 3. So this project quickly has become far more than we ever imagined it would be. At this point, we have just finished the first set of counts, so we'll be reviewing what we have accomplished and how to tune it, expand it, improve it for next year. A small committee from inside Lower Columbia Basin, did most of the organizing, along with a lot of support from Washington Audubon, particularly Christy, Trina, and Jen. A newly joined person to LC Bass named Kevin Black. He's a great birder and has a lot of connections in the birding community outside of our organization even, and across this region of the state. He created most of the training material and the CDs and has just done a great job with it. Those of us involved in the study get to drive around now listening to bird songs and CDs and practicing. So much has happened around this work that we've done together. We've grown our own self-concept about what's possible for us as a chapter. We clearly see our relationship through this work as part of a region, as part of the state, as part of national, and as part of a flyway. Kevin especially showed us the power of personal outreach, getting people involved. We've loved the opportunity to grow skills and be educated by experts. I think probably all birders are like that. We're all, I think, by nature, lifelong learners. We've been able to make great use of the newly provided GPS support that National has provided. We've had fun working together with other chapters and with Washington Audubon. We've drawn in new people. This is a new activity to be so focused on birding. And it's been a great way to attract new people. And we're filling a gap of data about shrub-steppe birds and their habitat, a gap we didn't know existed until Washington Audubon had identified it through their literature search. And we're really excited to be creating useful data sets that speak to the birds and habitat we care so much about. They're going to be used in a priority habitat database that informs all the agencies in the state of Washington. So they, at the get-go, are being set up so these data can be put to their best possible use, which again goes back to the meaning of the work. At the center of all these really great and fun things that have happened and are happening is the meaning of the work. We of course have challenges going forward, as any project would. But again, I just want to emphasize that the center of this great experience is the work. I have been around long enough to have been subjected to lots of team training that mostly resulted in teams looking for something to do. And this is the other way around. This great energy and what we've achieved so far is a result of keeping meaningful work at the heart of what we have done and will continue to do. Challenges, of course, will include continuity and scaling through time and space, data and consistency, maintaining and creating the connections between chapters, regions, Washington Audubon, National Audubon, potentially international. This work does have the potential to connect internationally to Canada and Mexico, and so there's a possibility there that this could even connect us better to our large Hispanic community in Eastern Washington. So that'll be a fun adventure to take into the future. And the habitat connectivity we think is so important. It's a really important aspect of shrub-steppe conservation. The loss of connectivity in parcels is as important as just simply the loss in acreage. And the movement of these birds as they move in their natural states through this interior flyway really highlights the importance of connectivity in conserving shrub-steppe lands. The next steps we have, again, are analysis, improvement, expansion, inclusion, connection. I've already touched on some of those briefly. And, you know, to keep this short, I'll just go to the end of the story and again go back to what I believe to be central to what has made this effort so much fun and so great, is the meaningful work. We have been honored to be able to pursue work that speaks to the shrub-steppe and the birds that we care so much about. It's led to great collaboration, a project with far more reach than we ever imagined, and it's made our own understanding, and how we fit into the architecture of the flyways, and how flyways connect people, landscape, time, and space through the movement of the birds. I believe with all my heart that at the center of Audubon, and one Audubon, is the meaningful work that we do. We all care so much about birds and habitat. Putting meaningful work at the center of this effort has created an experience that's drawn people in and people together to speak to the shrub-steppe about which we care so very much. So thank you for listening. It's been a delight to be able to tell this story, and we look forward to the future. Thank you.